All right, guys, welcome back to the Regal Gentleman YouTube channel. Today we've got Zainedine in the chair, who we've both dressed pretty much the same for. How are you doing, mate? You good?
I'm good, mate. How are you?
Awesome. I'm all right, man. I'm all right. Can't complain. So what are we doing? What's the plan today?
So what I want to do right now is just want to get some texture behind my hair.
Okay.
Kind of have a slight middle parting, but just make it all flow backwards, because right now my hair's like pretty flat. I want to have some texture mostly, yeah.
All right, yeah, cool. Have you got some images?
Yeah.
All right, cool. Let's have a little look.
I know my hair isn't that length yet.
Yeah.
You see what I mean? Stuff like this.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So you want it to sort of flow back. Okay.
There you go. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we can try. The problem is what I'm looking at your hair at the minute. You've got quite a heavy undercut, right? Okay. So the sides of your hair aren't that long compared to the top, right? So if you could go back a few photos for me, all the flow is coming from the sides and the back. Okay. Can you see that? So let's there's the top. That's where all the flow is coming from there. Yeah. Right. Do another one. If you don't mind. Same one again, if you go again. See, that's all coming from the sides and the back, all that flow there. So you're gonna have to grow your hair out to get that look, right? But what you can do in the meantime is cut it so it grows out into that shape. Yeah, if you know what I mean. Fine, yeah, cool, man. And yeah, go on.
Just also some how to maintain my hair, because I don't use any products, any hairspray, so any advice on if I should use some salt spray or any products.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, 100%. Yeah. I'll always try and give you some advice to leave with that you can obviously, I want your haircut to look at its best when you do it yourself. Yeah. So we can talk about products at the end, but I'll do that at the end because it's more fresh and you can see exactly why we're doing it and what the products have achieved. All right, cool, man. All right, well, let's have a little look at your hair. Let's see what I'm working with. So we've got, as you can see, we've got quite a heavy undercut from the sides, which obviously was for the last haircut, right? You can see where you're going for that centre part and it all coming down. Makes sense why you'd have this, right? The problem is, all the styles you've shown me now aren't really that kind of centre part undercut, right? They're not really an undercut. They're just a longer, more medium length, and that's where the flow is coming from, all right? So what we're gonna have to do is, let me just get me combs and that, 1 second. So what we're gonna have to do is grow out the sides and the back, all right? And we're gonna have to try our best to connect the top. So the style will change slightly, okay? Only because we need to connect in these bits here. Now the sides and the back have got a fairly decent bit of length on actually. They don't look like they have because the top's kind of almost overshadowing all the length, if you know what I mean. But that's an impressive bit of length to have. It's very hard to get that on the sides and the back, so you've done well there. The only thing is at the moment though, it looks as though, have you cleaned your own neck up? Or has somebody done it for you?
I went to this BARBERS because I had a wedding last week, so I thought it was going to be last week now, but I had to compromise and get a quick cut because my mum wanted me to. But
we all know what mums are like, man. Yeah, of course. Okay, it's not a game changer, mate. The more length would have been better. It's not that much of an issue. What's that?
I'm just going to say, even if it doesn't look like the pictures, as long as you can make it so when it does grow out, it has some sort of similar style.
Yeah, of course. That's basically the gist of what I was going to say. Really, is because because the neck's almost just being kind of cut in to tidy up, which it makes sense why it's been done. It just compromises the flow on, not necessarily this little bit here, but it just compromises the shape because it almost from the back, because it is so cut off on the neck, it can almost look like like a bob effect. You know what I mean? Because if you were to pull this down. If you think of a bob, it's kind of what one is at the moment. Do you see what I mean? Because it's long at the side. This is the top, bear in mind, right? So, but the top's given that effect. The sides aren't as long, but you can see if we pull the sides down a bit, it is that kind of thing. Just because it's been cut so just basically tidied up at the very bottom. It hasn't been layered into for that. But it's not an issue, not the end of the world, right? This is a work in progress, okay? That's the way you got to look at it. It's a work in progress. But for the time being, I still want it to be a nice work in progress. I still want it to be something that you're going to enjoy having. And you've got enough length in there, I think, to make it work. I think the only thing you're going to have to compromise on, which is what we have spoke about briefly, is that we're going to have to remove quite a bit of length off the top. But I think that will be better because you'll see the style you're trying to achieve in the long run. Okay. At the minute, all you're seeing is a very 90s centre part. Do you know what I mean? But if we get rid of that, you'll start to see the shape you're trying to create, but in the long run.
How short are we talking,
You'll have a lot more length on there, probably through the middle. But what we're going to have to do is just try and balance the top to the sides and the back, because a lot of them haircuts you've just seen then, the top's actually shorter than the sides and the back, or if anything, the same length, believe it or not. It doesn't look like it because all the length you're seeing is the perimeter, is here. This is what you're seeing on the pictures is here. The flow you're seeing is through here. That's what creates the longer effect, is the neckline being longer and the sides being longer. The top's actually probably either the same length or shorter. Okay, that's how you're getting that flow. Because the sides and the back are standing out more, because the top isn't overshadowing it and sitting over it. So what I'm thinking is you'll still have a lot of length through the top, which is here. This is the top. Okay, let's just look at the top section through here. You'll still have a lot of length through there. Not all that, but let me just see what we'd need to connect in. So what I'd be doing, I'd be bringing it down to try and balance through to the sides. So what we'd have to do for this to grow out well and this to grow out the way you want it to, you're going to be losing at least that for connection. Can you see that?
I see that, yeah.
You're going to lose that for connection. And then through the top here, you're probably going to end up losing a bit more. So you're probably going to end up losing about that through the top. You see that? Yeah. So I'll pick it up for you in a different way. So probably about that much through the top you're going to lose. But don't forget, everywhere else is going to stay the same. So it will steam shorter, but you'll still have all the length on the back and sides. So it's just that compromise. You're not going to get that look to go into it if you're still keeping such a heavy undercut. It's just always going to look like this, just longer.
As long as it'll help long term, it should be fine.
Oh yeah, 100%, yeah, definitely, yeah. Because the thing is, these haircuts need to be balanced, because that's the way you get the movement in them. You get the movement of everything falling into place. That's how you get the flow. At the minute, because you've got such a heavy disconnection, everything's just falling flat because it's all, your hair's so heavy. That's it, but it's just too heavy. That's why you've got, the thing is what happens, right, with an undercut, there's ways to place disconnection within haircuts, right? When you're doing something like this is made for this specific look. It's meant to sit flat. You're not meant to have height. You're meant to have it sitting flat. If you look at every 90s hairstyle, there's barely any height in there. It was all just very, like, kind of, again, slightly feminine, I suppose, sitting very soft finishing on the eyebrows, soft on the ears. So it was meant to sit heavy. Problem is with an undercut, it's all about support within the hair, right? So it's the foundation you got on the sides. That's when you start connecting in here, you start to build up the foundation. That hair won't sit as heavy over the top. It'll actually sit within here. So it'll create more flow. It'll sit more like that, more than sitting heavy over it, right? That's what you basically do. You're building up the support underneath to allow this hair not to sit as flat. Basically, and then just take a bit off the top, and we can put a lot of texture with the razor as well to create that lift and movement. So then I can show you how to style it as easy as it should be. But I think that's the compromise you're gonna have to make for it to get to where you want it to in maybe a few months' time. But you've probably got maybe 6 months.
I don't really see it as a compromise. I don't mind a shortcut. It's just long term, it's fine. I haven't had a shortcut in a while. So.
It's actually not going to be a shortcut, believe it or not. Because the length of the back,
more of a medium type length?
Yeah, the back and sides are staying the exact length.
So would you say my hair is now long?
No.
Okay. So
not overall. You've got long hair on the top.
Oh, okay.
But that's the problem. What happens is when you get this style, you feel like you've got long hair because you have an element on your head which is longer hair. But overall, it's a short length, because if we take this top away, it's probably like a short to medium length on the sides. Do you know what I mean? Medium is probably, if you come into about here, would be classed as like maybe a medium length. Anything longer is like shoulder length. So because the top is so long, it's slightly disguising of your hair being long, even though it's not really. It's just, if you break it into sections, like I do when I do a horseshoe section, that's the sides and the back. Then the bit that I've sectioned off is the top. So 50% of your hair is like short to medium, 50% is long. So if this was all the same length all over, it'd be down to about here. Do you see what I mean? So it's quite deceiving because of where the length is kept. But it's not going to be a shortcut. Okay, it's only going to feel a bit shorter because we're moving some length off the top. But the back and sides are going to stay exactly the same length. All right, because we need to grow them out for that flow.
Cool.
All right, man.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, we're on the same page. Again, I'm looking forward to seeing how this grows out, because I'm sure it'll be a nice finish. So let's get you gowned up and we'll get you started. All right, man. Cool. Yeah. We film this as like, that's why I said to you when you sat down, keep your phone in your hand, because when we talk, at the very start when you sat down, you were going to tell me about what you wanted. That's when I said to you, keep your phone in your pocket for now, because we can talk on camera. So that's how we kind of do it. We film it as like as real as we possibly can, with minimal editing. Only because it's kind of how I work. So if anyone comes to me for a haircut from the videos, it's pretty much exactly the same. That's one of the reasons why I think it works so well, is because it is as raw as we can possibly make it. We're not adding any edits to it, or we're only cutting bits down just for time, because no one wants to see me wetting your hair down. No one needs to see these things, because it's not enjoyable to watch, is it? Right, guys. So we are going to start by kind of breaking up the back and sides and trying to add that texture that Zainedine's looking for. We're looking for that kind of movement and flow, especially as it grows out. So this is a haircut that these techniques work well as the hair grows. So when anyone's got a medium length haircut or short to medium or even long, this sort of technique helps you. I mean, it's slightly counterintuitive for me because I don't make as much money because they don't come back as often, but I know the client's happy. So with that, I get more clients in the chair. So that's the kind of way you got to look at it. As much as you'd like them to come back once a month or every 5 to 6 weeks, the reality is this kind of style doesn't require a lot of maintenance from the barber or hairdresser. It just requires maintenance from the client. So shampooing, conditioning, basically looking after his hair. And these are things we'll touch on for you, by the way, Zainedine. We'll touch on these for you. But you know, this isn't a very sort of profitable haircut, should we say, as a barber. But it can be profitable because the client's walking around for 3 months with your really nice haircut, the way you've done it. His friends will be like, wow, that looks awesome, that really suits you. Where did you go? And then it opens space for their friends to come and sit in your chair. So in a way, you're doing more clients, so your client list becomes bigger, and also the client's happy. So in a way, it's actually a good haircut to have in your chair. So just getting this undercut right. So we want to try and remove this undercut and give the balance. There will still be an element of a disconnection throughout this haircut. Anything like this style, there always is an element of disconnection because we have to disconnect the top for it to flow. That's where the flow comes from, right? It's from the disconnection. So we still connect it to an extent. So at some point on the sides, there will be a connection. But then if you lift the section up a little bit higher of it, it'll probably be disconnected. So that's the thing. I know some people think I've got this real sort of dislike for undercuts and disconnections, which I don't have a dislike for them. I just think not. I think a lot of the time they're just done incorrectly. That's why I don't like them. And so I'm having to reproduce something that I don't believe is the right haircut to be done. And that's where the dislike comes from. It's not necessarily the style. It's more like the understanding of where the disconnection needs to be is the thing I find I struggle with more. Because I do a lot of disconnections throughout my whole haircut. I just don't tell people I'm disconnecting the hair, but I am. It's a vital part of men's hair is a disconnection somewhere, whether it's the fringe, like my haircut, for example. My haircut's got disconnection in it. My fringe is very disconnected to everywhere else because that's how I get the height in it. So if I'm to wear my hair down, if anyone follows me on Instagram and they see some photographs of me when I'm with the kids or when I'm just not at work, you'll see that I don't always wear product in my hair. And you'll see I've got a very, very floppy fringe, right? So that's one of the things that people that you will notice about my haircut, that there is disconnection in it. But I need the disconnection there because otherwise my fringe would not be as high or as kind of the focal point of my haircut as what it is now because of that reason. So I do like disconnection. I just don't like the modern take on disconnections. I just don't think they look great. That's just, again, we're all allowed that opinion, and especially this industry is so opinionated anyway. It's based on opinion. So that's just my opinion on it, really. Some people love it. I'm just not the biggest fan. This is what is going through my head now. Okay, so this is something the client wouldn't hear because I would be saying this to myself. Okay. Zainedine's looking for flow and movement in his hair. He's just showed me about 3 or 4 images of the type of movement he wants. We all know it's just a flow, right? So in my mind, I'm like, that's just flow. That's what we need to accentuate. That's done by heat and blow drying. That's how we do that. So we already know this, right? Us professionals know this. Zainedine doesn't, but this is me talking to myself out loud, okay? So we're looking at the sides here. Now we need to keep the flow in this, right? So as you can see, Zainedine's hair does move about quite nicely. See what I mean? I can move it about with a comb and it moves around. It's just very heavy. And obviously there's that undercut that we're going to get rid of as well. But we could really break this up and add that flow. And then all we need to do is just blast the hair with the heat underneath the hair. And that's what will create that flow. We just need to show that off a bit more today. So in my mind, right, what I'm thinking now, I'm thinking, right, let's get rid of this undercut. Let's balance this haircut out a little bit more. But let's just add that texture through the section and pattern that will allow that movement to come alive a bit more now. Again, this is a work in progress. This is a haircut for a few months' time. But for now, I still want it to look as though we're doing the right cut as well. Because at the end of the day, the expectation from the client today is not the perfect haircut that he's shown me, but his expectation is that perfect haircut in 3 months' time. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take very, very wide sections, starting from the side here. So I'm going to use 3 fingers width. That's how I do it, just based on 3 fingers. That's how wide I'm going to take my section. I'm going to pull everything into the middle. I'm going to cut it quite a bit of length off in the middle, but I'm going to leave length either side. Okay. Then the top, as that disconnection comes in from the top, that's going to also showcase the length as well. I'm going to take a section. So we always do. This is automatically pulled in. So let's just say we always forget about this little bit here because we need to keep that into play. Because that is almost like an isolated bit of length on its own that we need to keep full. Because everybody's head concaves in here. And that's what starts to come round into the forehead. So that always needs to be, we don't even need to think about this bit, right? We take our first section from the sideburns. So my 3 fingers come from the sideburn to there, okay? And then what we do, work alongside it like that. Put a little section there so we find it. So we always pull that back into our first section, okay? So we'll pull it in, right into the middle. Like so. Now I want to show off this length either side of the section, this connection here. So I'm going to take that much off. Straight down to the bottom. So this bit here is shorter now, through here. But either side is still long. Can you see that? That's where the over direction comes into play. So we've kept all the length through here, but we've shortened this middle bit. And then we've kept all the length through here as well. Now that shorter bit allows the long bit to stand out a lot more. We're taking the length shorter, the section and pattern creates the texture in the sides, okay? Not thinning it out, not razoring it, nothing else. This is the first thing. This is the primary shape that will create the shape that we're looking for, but it also adds secondary shape as well. Now we're going to start balancing out the back as well, because as you can see, the back is a bit shorter. So we're going to leave that as it is and just start to balance this bit out as well. Pull out. Oh my God. You see the bottom's a bit shorter. There's not much we can do with that. We'll have to just leave that as it is, and we'll just point cut into that in a bit just to break it all up. But hopefully this will start to give a bit more balance to the neck as well, because at the minute, as you can see, it's very heavy and hanging over, whereas this side's starting to look a lot more balanced within there as well. So we're keeping the length, we're allowing the flow to move around, like so. Oh my God. The final section, as you can see, is 3 fingers in width, so it works, okay? Pull right into the middle of the section, pull, my guide. So I have to break up this bit in a minute as well, but we'll do that in a little bit when we can head down and point cut into it. Right, now what I want to do, I just want to balance out the perimeter just through here a little bit. So I'm just going to point cut into the bottom here, just to kind of make it balance a bit more. So some longer bits, some shorter bits, just from the section and pattern. I want to try and even out, okay? Also want to balance to the neck as well. I want it to not look kind of like that bob that was when you came in. Try and give more balance to the bottom there as well. And just break down that thickness above it, like so. And slide through it with your scissor, cut into it like that as well. You want to break that neckline up, we don't want it to be as blunt. That flow to the back, sliding through. away that as well. That will really help too. What we'll do now is we'll just tidy up the neck hair as well. Anyway, that curl will really help the hair to sit a lot flatter as well. Right, so back inside there, I'm going to add the razor in when we've done the top as well, so we can kind of work together on the razor work. Now, what I'm going to do is I want to try and connect in this top now to give a bit more of more of what we're trying to achieve in the long run. So, I'm taking a section of the round of the head, like so. Let's have a bit of connection into here now as well. So I'm using the guide underneath, I'm using the longest part of the hair at the sides, that's what I'm using. So I'm not using the short bit that we cut in the middle of our 3-finger section. I'm using either side as the guide. So that's still maintaining length through there. Now on the top, I'm taking like sort of finger width sections because I'm taking obviously a bit more off. I want it to fall and balance nicely. So I'm bringing everything down, so as you can see, creating this, so I'm creating more length sitting through the top by bringing this and lowering down the section to match the other side. So when we talk about keeping this connection in there, by changing the angle that you're cutting at, we'll create a disconnection higher up. So if you watch what I mean after we've cut this section, you see where I'm coming from? So as you can see, that connects in there because we've just cut it. Then if we pull it up, it disconnects higher up, see? But as we pull it down, it connects there. And that's what we're looking for. We've got a connection in there at some point, but this allows for that flow to sit in there as well. So there is an element of disconnection, but again, there's a connection point somewhere within that. Now, one final section just past the centre part, because I don't want this just to sit into a centre part, because it can still fall into one. We did speak in, obviously Zainedine wants to be able to do a few different things with it as well. So again, it can just come back, it can go to the side, it can still go down the centre. I think as you're growing your hair out, anybody's growing their hair out, I think you need options. Otherwise, if you're stuck with the one haircut, it might bore you. And I think you might want to change it up a little bit then as well. So that's why I always think take away the centre part so that it can be just styled into one more than it's cut into one. I think it allows you to have more options. It takes away the boredom of what you're trying to achieve as well, you know. It does get boring when you're growing your hair, doesn't it? You know, you can't go to the barbers, you can't go to the hairdressers, you can't get cut. You still want to be able to have a few things you can play around with, maybe make it look different each week or whatever.
Like more formal occasions, I might want to slick back, more casual ones.
Yeah, there we go. But the thing is that is exactly true. You want options, right? You want to be able to do something with it that isn't just the same all the time. Yeah, there's our guide. I feel like this side might have been left a bit long, you know, compared to the other side. It feels a lot longer through here, yeah, on the top. Now, one final section just past again. This is to take away that, or to give the option away from a centre part, so you can wear it this way as well. Now, let's just find the peak in the middle, all right? Little triangle we're going to end up with through here. There we go, there's the triangle. Now we want to lose as little as possible, right? So as you can see, you could go any length here for it to connect both sides, right? The peak is always within the top, just depends on where you want to cut it at. So that's what's great about this technique, is that you can go this short and it will still look good, it will still balance. You can leave more length in it. So all you're doing is connecting it to either side, right? Let's leave as much as length as we possibly can in there. Take the peak off. So angle that over, connect that in. We don't need all that length through there. Not doing any favours for this haircut whatsoever. Just going to add too much weight. You can slice into it if you want, so it's a really choppy finish. Just shorten down the fringe a bit as well. There we go. Now I'm going to wet this down a little bit as well, and put the razor through it now as well. Now the razor, I'm just going straight down. And through this section here, and add direction. So I'm mixing up the texture. Halfway within the hair so it moves about. I'm coming back like this. That's going to force that to go back as well. A bit higher up. Well, this is adding the kind of thinning element to it, but still not in like a straight line or nothing like that, just slicing through the hair. It's basically to thin it out, but to also, add the texture to it as well. That's what we're trying to achieve. Force that direction, so you can see much more of an angle. Bringing it back. Now last one, straight down. We're leaving the fringe out. And we'll work into the crown again. And a little bit of lift as well. Zainedine was saying about how it collapses so much. So let's put a little bit of lift in there for him as well. Leave the fringe out. So I just want to try and break up this element here. So coming over the top. And point cut right into that. Just want to thin these little bits out. Into this over here. Let's show you how to style this now, okay? So as you can see, you can still have it in the centre part if you want it, right? But now we've got more connection, you can wear it over to this way and bring it back. You can see the height even when it's wet, how much higher that's standing up from when you came in. Do you know what I mean? But all that length is exactly the same on the sides and the back. We haven't taken any length off the overall length, okay? Just the bits within it. Now, you're gonna need a bit of a product to style this into the hair, okay? So what I'm gonna use is a little bit of clay, okay? Now this is a texture clay, okay? I'm gonna use about that much.
And when my hair grows out, will I still need to use this, or like as it grows out, I'll...
When you've got more hair, you'll be able to apply more sprays and things like that, like a salt spray, for example, or something. But with the minute, because it is still quite like a short to medium length on the sides and the back, where that shape needs to be, you need something to dry into the hair to show it off, basically, to show off the look that you're trying to achieve in the long run, okay? So, bit of clay all over your hands, and rub it into your hair, okay? Your hair's damp, and that's where you want to apply it.
So damp. Before I apply it, make my hair damp?
Yeah, so just when you've had the shower. Not like soap and wet, no. Yeah. Just damp, as it is now. So you can still feel it's wet, but it's not like overly wet, you know?
Yeah,
like so.
I really like this length, you know?
It's a nice length for now, huh?
Yeah, like I know I'm growing it out and all, but this length isn't bad at all, you know?
You might, a lot of the time people do get it cut into like a shape and they're like, actually kind of like this.
Yeah.
So what we're going to do now is we're going to use a paddle brush for this, okay? Now, if you want to get this exact look, that's how you do it. High speed, high heat. start lifting at the front, right? Little bit of lift at the front. Right. Now we just pull it over, brush it right over from the round of the head, and it will naturally sort of part. Okay? What we do, we need the speed to blast the hair, okay? Dry it over to one side like so, then we dry it upwards. Then we dry the hair upwards, and then we dry it back again. You start to see the individual hair being kind of moved. Just blast it upwards and then blast it across, and that's what you'll get. You'll see it in a second, right? Blast them around, we'll blast it up. And there you start to see all that texture we put in it. And you blast it back again. Right. Same thing, just wrapping the brush around it, like so. The reason why you put the clay in now, because you're starting the hold. You want the hold to stay in the hair, and you want the definition to be in the hair as well, and that's what using a styling product to dry in gives definition. A salt spray wouldn't give as much definition as a clay would, you know? Right. Now, to finish off, you want something that's just going to add it's going to add a little bit more definition, and it's going to be weightless. You don't want to add any more product into this, okay? As in like styling, heavy styling product. Sprinkle it all the way over, right? And then rub it in. And this just adds to the hold. I mean, look at the hold you get in your hair now. Yeah. You see? Yeah. Now, you want that texture through the sides, you have to bring it up like so. Okay? And then this bit at the top just falls very naturally over. It's the sides that are giving you that shape, right? Mm-hmm. As you can see with the powders just help to just give you that little bit more definition through the hair. But as you can see, you've got a lot more volume in the hair too. It's not sitting as heavy or flat at all. You've got all that texture in the hair now as well that you never had when you came in, but also you've not taken any end off the back, on the back and side. So again, just balancing out a haircut and showing off the kind of the shape you're trying to achieve. It works a treat, it really does.
I didn't think my hair could have this texture, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I have really straight hair, so this is actually amazing, man.
You see that more from that angle, yeah? Imagine there's a bit more length in there.
Yeah.
You'd see it even more. That's what I'm saying, this is a haircut that can grow out into what you want. Yeah. The cut is there, it's just styled like that. Oh, so again, bit of clay, blow dry, I used a paddle brush just to help get the product in there and blow dry it right up. And then as you lie it flat, that's the shape you achieve.
Thank you so much, man.
You're welcome, man. Looks great, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Thank you, man.